Gather around, children. Let me tell you of a time.
Did I say erection?
Maybe.
Or were you just thinking it? Hey, this is an awesome song.
And now for two guys who think they have something to say to the world. Here's Natty Ice and Wise Ky with North by Nowhere.
Welcome to North by Nowhere, now with no aspartame. Today, Wise Ky and I talk about our guilty pleasures. We also delve into some bands that we think are a little overrated. Lastly, I'll tell you 5 things I learned being part of wedding planning. Hey.
What's up? Perfect intro.
Perfect.
That was
That's
good.
what I was going for.
That was good.
I strive for perfection.
I like it.
And it's the fact that now we have no aspartame.
Yeah, we're aspartame free. I don't
Since
even
2015.
I'm not even sure what that is really.
It's a fake sugar substance.
Kinda
I
like-
don't know.
Oh.
I'm lying, I think.
I'm
I'm pretty positive.
I'm making that up.
I am not fast.
It's like kind of like a high fructose corn syrup.
I have
It
no
just-
clue.
I don't
It's
know.
put in diet pop.
Yeah. You can almost just pick out a random ingredient that no one's heard of
Yeah.
and have a crusade against it.
Basically. Kind of like MSG
Yeah.
in Chinese food. I mean, I
It's-
like my Chinese food pure.
MSG?
So, well, no, I just like it pure. So if
Oh,
you take
okay.
the MSG out, it just doesn't taste like
Yeah.
Chinese
It's
food.
not
that
from
I've always
China
had.
then.
Yeah. No MSG, no China.
I want
All right, let's get right into it.
All right.
You know, we
Which
said,
one are we doing first?
I think we should talk about our guilty pleasures since that was in that beautifully done intro.
Since that was the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your first guilty pleasure?
You're going to have to go because I don't have it pulled up. So what's your first? I literally have everything else pulled up.
Oh, Kyle. Wise Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle Wise.
Yeah.
Wise Ky.
I know. But go ahead. What's your
right.
first?
Number 1, and this, people are going to laugh about this.
Uh-huh.
My number 1 guilty pleasure, and I haven't given into it in quite a while, but it has to be drinking Arbor Mist.
Arbor Mist. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like, it's pure sugar alcohol juice.
it is. It's
And
delicious.
what's better than that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I haven't done it in a while, but it's one of those things like, you go to the liquor store and there's a sale on Arbor Mist and you almost feel wrong not doing it.
Yeah.
But then once you get up to the cash register and they start ringing you in
And,
and they kind of look at you like, really? Arbor Mist?
I was going to say they look down the line and see like 4 other carts just full of
Arbor Mist. No, it's mostly like there's a kind of a scruffy-ish,
Yeah.
ruggedly handsome guy.
Oh,
and
sure.
me.
The handsomest.
Yep. And you're drinking Arbor Mist. I mean, that just kind of brings you down on that ruggedly handsome
It's
scale.
like a lumberjack with a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
That was
definitely.
when we first arrived here in Fargo. We went down to a place we're not endorsing because they don't pay us.
Yeah. Some liquor store down there over there.
And we down there over there.
Yeah, over there.
Don't you know? And they had an Arbor Mist sale. I think it was $1
I think
per
so.
bottle, and so we each bought 2 and went home, drank them, and my tum hurt.
Yep. A
It was-
little too much sugar in
Yeah,
those.
it was a lot of sugar. All right, so my number 1, because I finally found the page again, is listening to a cappella music.
See, and this is where you and I, like, our guilty pleasures are probably way different than a lot of other people's guilty pleasures because
Yeah.
I don't even think listening to a cappella music is that weird.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. I mean, you and I, our guilty pleasures, we don't. And if anybody else came up with their guilty pleasures, I mean, we're pretty accepting people.
That's true.
And so it wouldn't be a weird thing to us. But yeah, if like, cause I'm 6'2" and 275 pounds. And if I went up to you all just like big and towering over you and you're like, what do you listen to? And I'm like, well,
I kind of like pentatonics.
I kind of, pentatonics, the cordials, you know, and just stuff like that. But there's something so awesome about the raw power of vocals that they can harmonize so well beyond that and do all the instrumental parts with their mouth. It's
very pure.
Yeah,
Is what it is.
And I labeled it as a guilty pleasure because it's very sparingly in my playlist. And sometimes I do skip it because when you're in a rock mode and it's playing song after song, then all of a sudden some nice acapella comes in. You're like, just not right now.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of like a Fall Out Boy or a Hanson or a Spice Girls.
Yeah.
I mean, you have those in your rock playlist, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make
think
sure that I'm
everyone does.
normal.
Yeah. You're.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about NSYNC and Backstreet Boys?
No.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah.
Okay. So my second guilty pleasure has probably got to be reality TV.
Oh,
Now,
really?
Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
I'm not judging you, but really?
Reality TV was something that I never ever watched until me and the lady got together.
Lady Ice.
Yeah. So she's like really, really into these reality shows, like the ones that are on that one channel that used to play music.
Gather around, children. Yeah. Let me tell you of a time.
Yeah. She's into some of those. It's not that I like reality TV.
Yeah.
It's just that when it's on, it's really hard to look away.
It's designed.
Yeah, and that's exactly
design,
it. Yeah. It's just one of those things that like it's on and you see somebody doing something stupid and then you realize that this is more or less unscripted. You're like, it's
nefarious.
Yeah, you're like, these people are basically just like us.
Yeah. And it is, I wouldn't say completely 100% scripted. Scenarios are set up, though.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then they always take the juiciest bits. But it's like, the reason why it works so well is because think of your work zone and how many people talk of all the drama that goes on along there, or school if you're younger. But how many people talk about all the drama, all the rumors and stuff. It interests people, other lives, because their lives are entirely too boring, I think. Excuse me. Are you still wearing the same shirt as yesterday?
Are you?
My number 2 is this one's an odd one. Chewing with my mouth open obnoxiously when no one else is around. That is my guilty pleasure.
That's a thing?
That's a thing. I'll be in the car and I'll have, snack, something, and I'll just sit there. Just like as loud as I possibly can go.
So you basically do the exact same thing that would just
that
piss people off.
And piss me off too. Like if someone else was doing it across the table, I'd say something.
That's funny.
Yeah, when I'm in the car. And it's not like I have this pent up urge when I'm actually eating food with people to do it. It's just when I'm in the car, I'm like, well, no one's around.
So I'm going to be as disgusting as I can.
Just chocolate falling out of my mouth, Skittles going everywhere.
Potato chips and just your entire shirt is just a grease stain afterwards.
I did that.
You weren't supposed to say that you did that.
That's fine. Because I was like late for work, and so I'm shoveling food into my mouth, and I'm just like and I get to work. Yeah, pretty much. And I get to work, and it's just chips. It's like 90% of the bag, and then 10% went into my mouth, and 100% of it was air in the bag.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get what you're saying. So that was like a subtle dig at potato chip companies?
Okay. Well, no, because all that air is used for cushion. Like,
That's just what they want you to think.
There was somebody, I've seen posts like that everywhere, and there was somebody that commented and said, I work at a chip factory. Whether you believe it or not is up to you, but he said, and that air is there for cushion so that the chips don't get crushed. So they plan for that.
Yeah, okay.
Or something, but it is disappointing.
Sure is.
Buy Pringles. They don't have any air.
That is true, and once you pop, the fun don't stop.
North by Nowhere does not endorse Pringles, but if they wanted to, I'd eat chips on the show. Oh, yeah. Obnoxiously loud. Yep. If you wanted me to.
Exactly. It'd be like a new guilty pleasure.
Yeah, we'll sell ourselves out.
Why not?
We're there on the street corner working.
There is no depth. Anyway. So my third, you were done with your second. Right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So my third, it's another one of those that really people might not really think it's much of a guilty pleasure, but 80s music. And I'm not talking like, let me try to think here. I'm not talking like a Foreigner or Styx. I'm talking like a Kiss, like a Def Leppard. Like we're talking hair bands.
So 80s rock.
Yeah, 80s rock.
Well, yeah. I
David Lee Roth and Van Halen, things like that.
That's what you grew up with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, kind of. My parents aren't much into the like the hair bands, like the Def Leppards and the who else? Motley Crue or Great White or any of those. They're not really into any of that stuff.
Great White? Is that a band?
Yeah.
What did they sing?
God, what is the song that they sing?
Oh yeah, some fan.
We always used to play it on Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Oh really?
Here I Go Again.
Oh okay, all right. Yeah, that's a great song.
That is a great song. Yeah. Oh, that's like their one song that they really had. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen Kiss, I've seen Def Leppard, I've seen Motley Crue.
Kiss almost made it to my overrated band.
Really?
Yeah, just because I know you're such a huge fan. But
because that I'd be mad at you.
Yeah, exactly.
You would do that. But it's great music. It's fun music.
Yeah.
It's like a music you could throw on at basically any party and people will be like, oh yeah, this song.
Yeah.
Start bobbing
Either that
their
or
head.
if they don't know it, they'll just jam to it.
Yeah, they'll jam to it.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this is an awesome song. Yeah. All right, that's my number 3.
That was your number 3.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3 almost ties in with your number 1 almost.
Oh.
I like girly mixed drinks, quote unquote girly. What you would just like sangria, frozen margaritas, mudslides, mimosas, Colorado Bulldogs, and I don't know. I don't know if a bulldog.
A few of those probably wouldn't go into the quote unquote girly mixed drinks.
The bulldog would.
Margaritas, not really.
Frozen margaritas. That's the
So just because you crush ice into it makes it girly?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't know that rule.
that's the rule. No, how I how I've written this out is it goes sangria, frozen margaritas, and in all capital letters, mudslides, mimosas, and I think I was craving. I don't know.
I've never had a mudslide.
Really? Oh,
No.
You can't.
My tum hurts.
You're lactose intolerance. So yeah, but no, I like them. And like I said, again, I'm 6'2", 270, and I go to a bar and order, a swirly Bahama Mama. And I think they're swirly. I don't know. And I'm just sipping on that all night, and other guys around me are drinking beers. And I enjoy beer too. I really do like beer, but those I don't know.
It's one of those things that every once in a while you just have to kind of go away from beer.
Yeah.
Well, it's even
something
like me. When I go out for a drink at a bar, I would say 98% beer.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's 1% whiskey.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, but your departure from beer is like a whiskey 7.
Yeah, that's true.
Or, something.
The other day,
straight.
When we went out for breakfast that day, I had a mimosa.
Oh, yeah.
Which
we
doesn't
were supposed
happen
to get
too
them
often.
for free, but for some reason in Fargo, you can't drink.
North Dakota. The sprawling
North
metropolis.
You can't drink
Fargo.
until, noon in restaurants? They won't serve you?
Yeah, they don't serve you alcohol until
And because
noon.
of that
That's
rule...
just on Sundays.
Yeah, and because of that rule, even though it was past noon, this place we're not going to mention because we're not getting endorsed won't serve us mimosas that were supposed to come free with the meal. But we ordered them anyway because...
the annoying part is they don't knock anything off of the price on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And when you order one afterwards, they charge you full price for it. It's like, let's go here. We can't be the only people that do this.
Yeah. It was still good though.
Yeah.
So is it my turn? Your turn?
Mine. I have 2 more.
Okay.
This one, I know this is going to be something that you're probably guilty of as well.
Probably.
Watching young kid TV shows. I'm not talking like Dora the Explorer or Blue's Clues or anything like that. I'm saying like...
You don't watch Dora?
No.
Is it more awkward to sit there and shout the answers at the TV or to sit there while she stares at you in silence?
I don't even know what you're talking about because
you've never seen it?
No.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never watched that one.
Well, it's like an educational
sort
of show for kids, and it's this... I've barely seen episodes too, but it's this little girl going around and she explores, lo and behold. But she'll every once in a while ask the audience a simple question just so kids have something to interact with. And while they're supposed to be responding, she just stares at you. And then she'll be like, "That's right, it's a ball." Like you gave the right answer. Yeah. But anyway.
Oh, well then.
Now
it almost sounds creepy.
It's a little bit.
So I'm talking about shows like Avatar, Last Airbender. Great show. Really, really geared toward kids.
Yeah. Well,
but it's pretty cool show, especially if you're into like anime and stuff like that. Then
yeah, because it's got heavy roots in there. It's still considered a cartoon because anime is the art style.
Sure. Yeah.
But the cool thing about Avatar is that if you've ever seen the show, there's a whole lot of fighting in it and what they call elemental bending, earth bending, fire bending, whatever. And it's kind of their system of magic, but every fighting move that they have is based off of a real fighting move in real life. They studied them and then put it to animation.
You can actually tell that when you watch the show because you're like, oh, that's something I feel like I could see if I was watching like a Taekwondo tournament or something like that.
Yeah, and there's a great, I should find it and put a link to it. There's a great thing on YouTube about how they, all the martial artists that came in and did these poses for him so that they could draw him out and stuff like that.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then M. Night Shyamalan came along with his movie.
And just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure
Ruined
that ended The Last Airbender, and they basically had to go on to their new show, which is Legend of Korra. Yeah. But anyway, I also like the animated Batman from when I was a kid.
The 90s?
Like, yeah.
Kevin Conroy?
Yep. So I'll sit and watch that one. Which, did you ever know that he was the first person to ever use two different voices for Bruce Wayne and Batman?
Does he really?
If you sit and listen.
Does he have two different voices?
Yep.
Really?
Bruce Wayne is kind of like a really dopey sounding, really nice guy.
Okay.
And then Batman is
serious.
The serious Batman that you hear like in the Arkham games, or he's the same guy.
And cool. He's really good.
Yeah, he's great. And then if you see a picture of him,
he's ugly.
Yeah. And it's like one of those things you're like, that voice comes out of that guy.
Right.
Yeah. And then Dragon Ball Z, of course. I mean, I couldn't be more excited that they're making a new Dragon Ball Z show.
Yeah, a new series. And they came out with Battle of the Gods last year. And
is that the one that we went to in the theater?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
The one Revival of F that they're coming with, Revival of Frieza. I don't know why they just put F, but yeah, that's gonna be really good too. And then because the original creator Akira Toriyama,
name drop, jeez,
he had a lot to do with that. And if you're a gamer, you know that he did the art design for Chrono Trigger as well.
That would make sense.
Because Chrono looks a lot like that,
a lot like a Goku-ish type of guy,
especially with the hair, spiky hair, but so he had a lot of, and you can tell he loves creating different creatures and whatnot. But anyway, and they went off and made, and I'm not sure what happened, but they went off and made Dragon Ball GT. And though Akira Toriyama was still tied with it, he wasn't really too much a part of the production, and he kind of hated it. I think it was one of those they just went on because they wanted to make more money off the franchise and continue it. And so it's nice to see him go back to the Dragon Ball Z universe and continue on there. And if they would just come out and say, hey, GT was great, but it's not canon anymore, so that we can go on with a storyline that the original creator wanted to go, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. Also, I'm really excited for the new Power Rangers movie that they're going to make.
They're making one?
The live one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like its own story. It's like a reboot-ish type of thing.
Okay, so like way back to the roots?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, me too. I hope it's good.
Yeah, me as well.
Because if you sit and watch an episode of Power Rangers, like the same ones that we watched when we were really, really young, I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, and I did not know until like 20 years later that the fight scenes were all the Japanese footage. So you have the American actors that did the talking, obviously, and then when they Mighty morphed into the Power Rangers and fought the Putty Men and the Big Zords and all that was the original Japanese footage, because that show started in Japan, and then made its way over here.
Did you know that
I am dropping some weird
you're
knowledge,
full of weird knowledge today. Did you know that they're what's his name? Green Ranger, Jason David Frank, right?
Maybe.
I think that's his name.
I'll take your word for it.
I think that's his name. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he has like a YouTube show.
Oh, does he?
That's dedicated, like behind the scenes.
Is it
all sorts of stuff?
My Mighty Morphin Life?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because I see that on YouTube sometimes and like the watch this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He seems like a pretty cool dude. Like he really, really loves fans.
Sure.
Like, so he's like when you're at a Comic-Con or something like that, he's like the dude that'll come up to you and start talking to you.
Right.
You don't have to go up to him and start talking to him type of deal. Yeah. He just seems like a really cool dude.
And he has been, I think, in every Power Rangers.
He has.
Yeah.
Yep.
In some way, shape, or form.
They actually just did on YouTube. They do like these superhuman fights against each other. They did the Green Ranger versus Ryu from Street Fighter. It was hilarious.
Oh, really?
Like, you should watch it. That's another thing we should probably link on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because it's good.
Have you seen the channel Screw Attack? Because they also do death battles. And they do all sorts of stuff like that. Different characters. Because you said Ryu, and it was Ryu versus, I think, Scorpion for Mortal Kombat. And what's cool about those guys is that they analyze both fighters like down to a T. They gather every information from canon sources, from all canon sources only, but anything that's obscure and still considered canon they'll pull in. And then their animators at the end, whether it's sprite animation or they've done a few 3D animations, they'll put them to an actual death battle and you get to see them fight.
Well, that's what this was like too.
Okay.
So, and it was live action.
Oh, sure.
So it was all CGI, of course, but I mean, it was still pretty fun.
Yeah, there was
you see like Ryu doing Hadoukens and, you know, it was pretty great.
They did a not too recently Samus Aran from Metroid versus Boba Fett.
Oh,
Yeah, we might have to watch that
that
when
would be
we're
pretty
done
cool.
podcasting. But
Anyway, we are way
way off topic. That's how this goes.
Yeah.
My number 4, I believe, is my number 4 is clickbait.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing about that is that people, the clickbait will usually have some sort of stupid title like, this dog sees a cat, you'll never believe what happens next. And you know what happens next. So if it's a video, what I'll do is I'll just go to YouTube and I'll search it because I don't want to click on that because it gives them money.
Generates money.
And they justify these stupid clickbait sites. But sometimes those titles, you're just like, what did the dog do? What did he do?
I really have to see this. Yeah.
And so you click on, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it guilty.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So my last one, and close to everybody in my generation is very guilty of this. Our generation, I should say, not just mine.
It's I own it.
This is mine.
I own the generation.
Playing video games.
Okay.
A lot of people would see that as a guilty pleasure.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of people in other generations would see that as a guilty pleasure.
Because it's a hobby for me.
I mean, it's the norm for you and myself. But a lot of people just don't see it as a good way of using your free time.
Exactly. And that's going to be really interesting when we grow up. Our generation's the old one.
Yeah.
The olds.
I mean, I'm not as much of a gamer as Wise Ky is. But I still do my fair share of gaming. I mean, I play all my sports games like almost daily. Yeah. You know, it's just, I'm not as into it as you are.
And that's the thing. Like, and it was really hard. I shouldn't say like it was some sort of trial by fire here, but it was pretty difficult, when you grow up as a kid and gaming is like your only hobby and one of your very fierce passions. And so you'll go to like these events with there are other adults, like your parents bring you to one of their work functions or whatnot. And of course an adult comes by and just trying to, talk to you a little bit and just, hey, how's school going? What do you do for fun? And it's like, well, I play video games. And that pretty much just, drops the conversation cold.
Over.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh, and they're being polite and nice. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they go to the hors d'oeuvres, suddenly.
Yeah, or they'll be like, "Oh, you'd like my boy, little Johnny."
Yeah.
He plays video games all the time, and then it's like, "Here, you two should talk to each other." And then you just sit there and look at your Game Boys while you're like in the vicinity of each other. Oh, that makes no sense.
That was the thing. My mom loved it. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, it is Happy Mother's Day.
It won't be when this comes out, but it's Sunday now when we're recording. So Happy Mother's Day to all of our fans out there that are moms,
and especially my mom. I like her. She's okay.
But my mom, Happy Mother's Day. I'm gonna bash on my mom a little bit. But when I was a kid and we'd have I'd have younger like nephews or cousins or whatnot, and they'd come over and be like, well, why don't you just hook up your games and you both can play? First of all, that kid sucks at games, and like I couldn't say that out loud. I'm like, they suck, like bad. They don't care. They don't get the power ups. They don't get the pickup. And most of my games were single player anyway. And
that never changes anyway either. So it's like,
why don't you play games with them? Why don't you tell me what to do?
Yeah, so I'm 26 years old and it's like, don't you have some Xbox or something? So like when Lady Ice's family comes over or when we're at home, don't you have something that they could play or something?
Like I just have a plethora of kid-friendly games.
Well, yeah, and it's like, oh, you could play with them, it'd be great. And I'm like just sitting there by myself, like, no, because then I'm going to lose a bunch.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the other thing. It's like I'm going to lose to a 7-year-old and feel really, really bad.
Yeah.
But you just look at those people and go, yeah, I could probably teach them how to rip a spine out in Mortal Kombat. Sit down, kid.
Yeah. And that's what you should say to the parents when that comes up. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll show your kid how to freeze somebody and punch their face off.
This is a game called Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, you can pick up hookers. Here you go. Anyway, do you have any more?
Am I on to 5? 5 for me. Musicals.
Oh, I love musicals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just... Anytime, especially one that comes on like the big screen, like Phantom of the Opera is one of my all-time favorites.
I still haven't seen Les Mis.
Really?
Yeah.
I have it.
I know. I should watch that.
Yeah, we really should. But yeah, that one. And just if there's a musical in town, I haven't caught one yet since I moved up here, but I really should. They are fantastic. Just the fact that you're acting and singing to, a beat, a tempo, and you're trying to stay with the pit, who you can barely hear on stage.
Yeah, you really can't.
That's
I can
why
tell you from experience.
Yeah, that's why the pit has to play to the actors, and that gets frustrating as well. But when it all comes together, I mean, it's a very cool thing to watch, especially if you've had as much I don't want to sound hoity-toity, as much musical experience as me and Ice over here. We were both in band for decades.
Yeah.
1 decade, some years.
Yeah, because I'm only 2.5 decades old, I suppose.
Yeah, 1 decade and some years, some change. But yeah, once you're in music and involved, and you start to see the little things with all of that. That's probably the same reason I like acapella, because I know how much grueling practice that would take.
Yeah, definitely. You've been in the pit before, right?
Mm-hmm.
For stuff.
I played trombone in the Seussical.
I bet that was fun.
Seussical the musical. I was the elephant call.
Yeah. Yeah, pit was one of the more fun things I did when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
I mean, not only that, but you do feel like you're part of the musical.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Definitely.
you're not doing any of the acting or anything. I mean, I've been on that side, too.
Yeah.
My senior year, I was in the musical. And,
Which musical were you in?
I was in Beauty and the Beast,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I played Gaston, yes. It was a lot of fun.
I knew that already.
But the pit is so much different because you feel like the actors can't do anything without you.
Oh, yeah, and they can't.
And they really can't.
I mean, they can sing.
But it's
acapella.
You really feel like you are absolutely needed, which as a band kid, you don't get that very often.
That's true.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, especially when you play in such a large band,
Yeah.
too. You kind of feel lost if you're not a trumpet, because trumpets get the solos, or clarinet, or one of those things that always gets the melody,
So when you were in pit, how many trombone players was there?
Oh, God. I want to say 3.
And when you were
might
in
have been
band,
4.
how many were there?
I want to say 3 or 4.
In band?
Yeah,
Actual band?
Because I think that was the size of our trombone section.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
we had. That's not a popular instrument to play.
Which is weird.
It is, because it's one of the best ones out there.
It's a great instrument.
I think it's because, well, when I was a kid, when I was getting into band in 5th grade, I wanted to play the trumpet, or I wanted to play the saxophone, because those are, prestigious kind of things you always hear them. So you either have trumpet, saxophone, clarinet or flute, or percussion.
Yep.
You rarely hear anybody walk in.
I want to play the oboe.
Yeah, as a little kid. I just want to squeal.
Yeah.
And suggest like tuba. I don't think anybody ever signed up to be
We
a
actually
tubist.
didn't have tubas in our beginning band.
Really?
Yep. You didn't start playing tuba until you got into junior high band.
Oh.
And I think a lot of it is that, that's exactly it.
A giant mouthpiece.
Well, yeah, you don't walk in and say, you know what? Tuba is my dream.
Yeah, that's true. I was going more. I don't know if a tiny kid could play a tuba.
That's true.
I'm not that it's like entirely too heavy or anything like that, but the mouthpiece, is so huge.
It would be their entire mouth.
Yeah, but anyway, we got off topic.
We did. That's it for my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, mine
I
too.
only did 5 of them. Yeah, let's get right back into it here. We're going to talk about 5 things I learned being part of wedding planning. Now, first,
that's right. Natty Ice is engaged, ladies.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
hands off.
Uh-huh.
I am desperately single, however. Go on with your wedding thing.
Do you want to give out your phone number while we're at it? Or
555.
First and foremost, I do want to say that my lady has done basically all of everything.
Hats off.
I want that to be known.
Mm-hmm.
I've just kind of been along for the ride.
Sure.
Probably should have helped a lot more. Anyway, first thing that I got to tell you, and I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Everything costs money.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. So, I mean, candelabras in the church, who we are already paying to use the space.
Right.
The candelabras that they have there.
I don't know what that is.
It's like, the metal things that you can put more than one candle on. Kind of look like a Jewish menorah. Only.
You mean the thing that is naturally in a church already?
Yeah, those. We have to spend money to rent them.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, naturally in the church already.
Ridiculous.
Ready to go.
I mean, it's a little different than what you're thinking, probably. I mean, these are definitely decorative,
Okay.
but they're already there. And to me, it's like we already paid a fee to use this church. Why can't we just use everything within this church?
You would think you would just cover the cost of like the candle or whatever they burn.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fuel.
Yeah. And, so another thing is it's like at our reception, we're going to have sashes on the chairs.
Okay.
We already have to rent the chair covers.
Of course.
And then on top of that, since we want a colored sash on the chair, it's more. It's like we're already ordering stuff from you.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be more?
Because you'll pay for it.
Yeah. If anything, what you should do is just have one base price for everything.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to use the sash, you can. And if not, you don't have to. It's ridiculous to me.
But then the other side of that argument would be, if somebody doesn't want sashes, why am I paying the same price of someone who's using sashes when I don't want the sash?
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. All the little stuff is kind of...
That's a lot of what this whole thing is it's like you learn that all these little things just add up and add up and add up. I even learned the other day that I guess it's kind of common to leave the pastor a tip.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Like how big of a tip?
I don't know.
Like a
50 cents?
Bucks?
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like going to a restaurant.
You should tell him you're going to tip him based on the amount of laughs he gets, and just have him do a stand-up act.
No, because then we'd have to pay a whole bunch of money because our guy's actually pretty funny.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's pretty cool. And then
if you leave a dry eye,
the whole plate. Anybody who is getting married or planning on getting married, be ready for the reception cost because what kills you the most is the food at the reception.
Oh, I bet. And you were telling me that's actually the most expensive part.
That's the most expensive part of everything.
The reception.
Yeah.
Which kind of
it does
because that's the reason that everyone else is there.
Yeah.
I mean, to see you get married, of course.
Whatever, but that's just basically signing a piece of paper. That's more for the bride and myself than anybody else.
You could have like 3 people there get it done, and then the reception is where everybody goes to have fun, and it just sucks that everything is so expensive. Yeah, even if you were to rent like a warehouse, wear like a rent house, and just a big empty dirt floor, you'd still have to feed everybody.
Yep. And
you'd still have to pay a DJ.
That's where all the money would go. It was right into that food.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's what it is. It's crazy.
Is that what you're going to ask people at your reception? Are you enjoying my hard-earned money?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, it's like...
You call it a sandwich, I call it my paycheck, whatever. We're splitting hairs.
Yeah. Welcome to the reception. Enjoy money.
Yeah.
Number 2 would...
Bring your own food reception.
Bring your own food. It's like, bring your own lunchbox.
Yeah. Food will not be provided.
Yeah.
Please eat before.
Can you imagine seeing that on a wedding invite? Food will not be provided. Or there's like a huge gap between the actual wedding and just the dance. There is no reception.
Right. But I feel like people who have gotten married and done all this before would look at it and go, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay that money. So.
Well, no, because a lot of people who've gotten married before are thinking to themselves, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go and I'm going to eat all of their money. Because it happened to me before.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, basically. Number 2 is you will never get everything you want in your wedding day. There will never be the perfect wedding day for you. So we wanted to get married in June.
Right.
And not in May. And mind you that we got engaged a year and a half ago.
Okay. And
Lady Ice over there started looking at stuff right away after we got engaged because, we knew what was coming.
Sure.
So she already had some ideas in her head and stuff. A year and a half in advance, the weekends that we wanted were already booked everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere we called, there was already weddings and receptions on those weekends.
You'd think not many people would be getting married the same time you want to get married. But
well, there's got to be some because we went in for the marriage license the other day, which is stupid. It's basically you having to pay a tax on getting married.
Yeah.
$65 for a piece of paper with a seal on it.
Right.
That is asking for a couple people to sign it.
So that the government recognizes you as a married couple.
Yeah, dumb. Anyway, year and a half in advance. and everything was booked on the days that we wanted. So, we're going with the end of May, which is fine. It's just a date, really. But the fact that it was a year and a half in advance just baffled me.
I guess I can understand why people stay engaged for years.
And it's because they have to if they want to have what they want.
Yeah, everything perfect. Sure.
And the other things are, so like, we changed colors a few times before we finally came to a decision. Oh, yeah? Because...
Like wedding colors?
Yeah.
Or was that a turn of phrase?
No.
Okay.
Because, you'll talk to people. They'll say, well, we don't like those. And it's like, well, we do, but we kind of want to make it so everybody thinks that everything is all beautiful and fancy and this and that. So we'll go to this. I mean, luckily we only changed it a couple times.
What were your original
We
colors?
liked like a coral pink. So like that orangey pink color.
Okay.
And like a mint green. So it was going to be like very pastel looking.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
But when you see them together, it's actually really nice.
Oh, sure.
And especially in like a springtime wedding, I mean, it just seems okay. Which we ended up going with like a hottish pink and gray, and everything looks great. Yeah, it really does. I mean, our suits are pretty studly. Got to be real. They're looking good, but it's just one of those things. And we're lucky enough to get the pastor that we wanted. It's the guy that she actually went to Jamaica with, the pastor for down there, and he's really cool. He's really nice and everything. But I can only imagine that if we wouldn't have had one in mind, they would have just assigned one to us, and we'd have met him once, and that would have been
it would have been very impersonal.
Yeah, which to me, it's like you want a pastor that's gonna come up with something.
Yeah, the person marrying you should be a personal.
Yeah, someone that
relation to you.
Yeah, you at least know a little bit. But number 3 is you'll get a lot of useless opinions from people.
Okay. What was your favorite?
Well, everything. Yeah. Everything that someone else tells you, it's like, well, this is what we did at our wedding. And it's like, well, are you getting married again? Or is this my wedding? Or people will say something like, a photo booth? Why do you need that? That's just extra money. Yeah. And it's like, because it's fun and that's what we want.
Yeah.
How about that?
Because I'm getting married.
Yeah.
And you are not.
Yeah. It's always said that your wedding day is for you, but you very quickly realize that everybody else really tries to make it about them. So, I mean, like first dance songs, colors, flowers, decorations, cake design, everyone has an opinion. And you just kind of have to sift through all those opinions and figure out what you like. Yeah. Or if you just want to come up with everything on your own, which is kind of what we did.
Sure. So do you think you're going to be one of those couples when you see a younger couple getting married? You'll sit there and say, "Well, this is what we did at our wedding."
No, and I'm sure we will. Yeah. And also it'll be like, we'll be sitting at a wedding and be like, I wouldn't have done that, this or that, but maybe
that
not.
Dress is fugly.
Yeah.
Let's be
maybe
real.
Not so much, because this has been a grueling process.
Yeah.
And we're just toward the end of it and we're just ready. And yeah, that's exactly it. Everybody's like, well, when I got married, and I don't want to say that everybody's opinions have been bad.
Sure.
It's just one of those things that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Oh yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like if
just watch the way you word it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, and this is definitely where we are at right now, you start looking forward to the honeymoon more so than the wedding itself.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's going to be
stress-free.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night. The actual ceremony is going to be great. The dance, you've been at a Meyer wedding before.
I have.
It's a party time.
Much to my delight, I think is the word.
Or dismay the next morning, whatever.
We'll stick with one. We'll stick with delight.
Yeah. Okay. So, queso. Delicious. The last, wasn't a Meyer wedding. It was the other side, the McGilkey side.
Oh yeah.
We actually had a room that was close to the dance because you can't bring alcohol into the dance.
Oh, right.
So we had a room that was close to the dance that was actually just for red eye and apple pie.
Red eye.
The red eye room. So I'm guessing something like that will be
That's kind of a
again.
Midwest thing.
Oh, definitely.
Red eye. So for
German
those of you, Chaman. So for those of you listening on the coast, because I know we're coast to coast by now.
Worldwide.
Second show. Explain a little bit what red eye and...
Well, red eye is like a German wedding schnapps.
Right.
Is basically what it is. It's like...
It's homemade, isn't it?
Yep.
Or is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's basically Everclear, and then you burn sugar, like you char sugar,
Sure.
and that's your sweetness to it.
Mm.
I've never made it, so I can't tell you
Yeah.
exactly what goes into it. I just know that it's good.
Yeah, I've only
And
drank
it will knock
so.
you directly on your ass.
It's got Everclear in it, so...
And it's the same thing with apple pie. I'm sure a lot of people know what apple pie is.
Yeah, it's Everclear, cinnamon sticks.
Yeah, Everclear, cinnamon sticks, and
Something.
and apple cider. Really. So you're basically just making a hard apple cider.
Yeah.
But it's
a lot.
very hard.
Yeah. A lot more alcoholic. And that really is a Midwest kind of tradition up here. If you're marrying into or have a German family.
We were told that on the East Coast, there's a lot of people who just don't drink at their weddings. Which, you know,
Why?
Well, yeah, it's like we sit here in the Midwest.
A dry wedding?
Yeah, we sit here in the Midwest and we're like, well, I mean, that's no fun at all.
I don't understand.
I don't
and
know.
it's not that we're all drunkards.
Well,
I
it
mean,
could be because
some
there are a
us
bunch of Italians over on the coast that are just going to start throwing punches, you know, when they get angry.
But, you know, it's not that we're all drunkards. It's that everybody has a better time when they're a little loose and limber. And
Absolutely.
I can attest with, you know, I've been in a bunch. I've been in a few, been in so many wedding dances. Always a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Never a bride.
Never a bride.
No, I've been to a few, and I had copious amounts of alcohol, but because you're out there and you're dancing, and I think you're sweating through it more than your body's absorbing.
Yeah.
You're really loose and relaxed, and I didn't feel drunk at all, really.
No.
But yeah, to have a completely dry wedding,
Just seems boring to
I
me.
think I would RSVP no.
Yeah.
Or
I
can I bring my own?
I would really hope that on one of those invitations it would say this is a dry wedding.
Yeah.
Because if I spent the money to go there and it was dry, man, I'd be so upset.
I would take my gift back and a few others.
Yeah, you know what? You don't get this.
You don't get
Bye.
this or these two.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, we're more looking forward to the honeymoon.
Sure.
We're going to Jamaica. It's going to be very, very calming after all of this. Staying for a week, just looking forward to just her and I. No outside noise from anybody. Just sitting by the beach.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
It's going to be great. Drinking Red Stripe.
Leave your cell phones at home.
Yeah, we're bringing them with just so we can
Sure.
take some pictures. But I mean, it's going to be one of those things that if it gets left in the room, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. You should almost make it a point to leave it in the room.
And I'm sure we will most times.
Because that's one thing that bothers me about people that take vacations. Phones are nice for pictures. You know, you can upload. And when you're back at your hotel room, whatever, you're connected to your social sites. But there's people that are out there trying to look at sites and they just scrolling through Facebook. It's like, why are you spending the money to be here?
Yep. Yeah. And we spent plenty. So
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
The last one, and I'm going to say right away that this is more of an assumption than anything, is you'll spend all of this time getting your wedding together and the day will finally be there. And it breezes by so fast that you hardly believe that it actually happened.
Right.
You know, I've heard it from so many people that they're like, yeah, I barely even remember on my wedding day because it just went by so fast.
Yeah. I'm sure your mind's going 3,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. And then
the whole time, so.
Sitting where we are right now and knowing how much work she's put into it, the fact that that's how we're going to feel afterwards is kind of upsetting, really.
Yeah.
Because I've seen all the work that's going into this. And we're not even going to remember everything about it.
Well, we're going to have a lot of pictures.
There's going to be a lot of pictures.
And videos. And
yeah, there's going to be everything.
So,
but still.
Yeah, I get your point.
You know.
Well, what you're going to be left with is some good memories and a giant hole in your wallet.
Yeah.
So.
And they also say that you barely have any time to spend with your new spouse on that wedding day.
That's what I've heard too. Yeah. Because you're so busy doing just other things.
Yeah, we have like 15 or 20 minutes blocked off when we're doing like the first time I see her in her dress and stuff where we just get to be together.
Sure.
Like the photographer isn't even going to be taking pictures. It's just going to be us.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It definitely
be needed.
Yeah, you'll have that and like your first dance and that's about all you can't really be alone, but you'll be close enough away from everyone else when you're having that first dance so you can, talk to each other a little bit. But
yeah, be like, hey, how's this day going for you? Great. How about you? Okay, time to go to somebody else.
Can we leave on the plane yet?
Yeah, really.
But
so that's basically all I got.
Sure.
I mean, if you're getting married, you should elope. How about that?
It should just, there's some too. My sister, she didn't don't want to say elope. That's just when you go to a courthouse, isn't it? And just kind of...
Eloping is basically you just do it and don't really tell anybody that you're doing it.
Okay.
Type of deal.
Well, all right. So this was different. My sister went to, she's going to kill me for forgetting Deadwood. And one of the...
How could you forget Deadwood?
I know. It was one of the hotels in there, and it was just a small room. It was, family in there, and it was me, my dad, my mom, Cadence, her daughter, and anyway. And it was just kind of all of us, and they, very small. And then afterwards we partied in Deadwood, and it was...
That's what my brother and sister-in-law did, minus the partying in Deadwood.
Mm-hmm.
We just got married.
Just a small thing.
Yeah, it was a room in the community center.
Yeah.
We decorated it all up to, make sure that in the pictures you could tell it's a wedding that's going on and this and that.
Yeah, and there's merit to that. And
there really is.
And I think that's how I would like to do it if I ever get to that stage. But there's also merit to doing everything that you or your fiance has always dreamed of, or close to it, as close as you can get. So it's just different ways of going about it. And then there's some people that just don't believe in the institution of marriage to begin with, which
they're entitled to that opinion. As well.
And that's valid too, because why would you want the government all up in your, to
That is true. Okay.
But at the same time, if anything happens to your significant other because you're married, you inherit by law, unless they stated somebody else gets your stuff, so they're, I don't know.
Well, speaking of government, so we go to get our marriage license. We got to go to the courthouse to do this, So they hand us our marriage license. They hand us this fancy little envelope that's for our copy of it, which is cool. I mean, it's a nice touch that they do something like that, especially for the $65 that we paid them. But
they also frame it for that too. Gee.
They also hand you a pamphlet that says, well, now that you're going to be getting married, you better start taking vitamin B and folic acid for when you start your family. It's
for when, not if.
Yeah, not
for
if.
When you start your family.
Of course, we're thinking about having kids.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do it right away. I mean, if it happens right away, it happens. But
what happens when someone gets in and they can't have kids?
Or if they just get married knowing that they don't want to have kids.
That too.
It's like, does the state get mad at you because of that? Probably, because that's one less taxpayer.
We're going to take your marriage license away.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. So you and I are really big into music.
Yeah. Rock and roll mostly.
Rock, yeah, definitely
mostly.
Rock, metal, mostly. We both form pretty healthy opinions on stuff as well. There's got to be some bands that we just don't like.
Oh, and there's plenty.
Yeah, there's plenty. But
let me preface, because we're going to talk about we both have two overrated bands.
Yeah,
and we could have went on.
Oh man,
but I don't want it to seem like we're putting down anybody's taste in music.
No.
If you are a fan of these bands, that's great. This is completely... What?
I bumped my microphone.
Oh, this is completely our opinions. So take them as they were. But.
Yeah. And yeah, you go ahead and start.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm going to start with the easiest shot in the world, Green Day.
That is pretty easy.
It's very easy, but let me tell you why. Their first two albums, which were 39 Smooth and Kerplunk, they were a good mixture of what people were looking for back then, because this was early to mid 90s. What people were looking for back then in their punk rock was kind of a garage sounding punk band. They've been quoted as being pop punk, which I could see.
Are either of those the album that had Basket Case? And
nope.
Basket Case was its own album, wasn't it?
No, that I'm getting there.
Sorry.
Would you calm?
Sorry.
Would you calm?
I'm just I'll put my microphone on mute over here. You take it over.
All right. No, but yeah, it had that kind of sound to it that everybody was like, and it wasn't until Kerplunk that people really started to take notice, especially other record labels. I think that's when they switched record labels, is after that one. But the album Dookie is the one you're thinking of.
Oh, is it?
Yep, that one had Basket Case and When I Come Around.
Which I like When I Come Around. That's a great song.
Yeah, which I was going to say that there's still two songs that are played on the airwaves still today. You can hear them on the radio. And they're the only two songs that I don't mind being on. I usually switch the radio station when Green Day comes on or Nickelback.
Yep.
That was the other one I could have done. But I
Yeah,
didn't.
that's one that one's just too easy.
Yeah. but yeah, those two songs are still pretty great. And then there was a few albums after that. They were met with moderate success. But special mention for whatever album, and I can't name it, but whatever one had Good Riddance on there.
That was Nimrod, I believe.
Okay, yeah, Time of Your Life,
Yeah.
which is still used for post-graduation
It's a great
parties.
graduation song.
It is. I mean, it covers everything, basically. I'm tired of hearing it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Because for a while, even, especially in like movies and TV shows, when there'd be a graduation scene, they would throw that on there.
Yeah, I'm hoping that by the time that I have kids and they're to the point of graduating, I just hope that there's a different song by then.
It'll be something new that's overplayed as well.
Yeah.
But, and then we move on to 2004 and everybody's most, I don't know, quoted album as being their favorite, American Idiot, Green Days. And they started to come together right then at that album as a safe mainstream band. It features singles like Boulevard of Broken Dreams
that song.
and Wake Me Up When September Ends, which are two songs about as far from punk rock is as the South Pole is to Jupiter, right? And really showcases what the band does now to try and stay relevant and make money for their record labels.
I think that is one of the things that probably ticks me off the most about these bands is that
money making.
Yeah, money making.
Yeah,
and that happens a lot these days.
It does, and like bands like All That Remains is a good example. Well, and while some of their harder songs are still known presently on their CD albums, the radio singles that are released are what I considered "quote unquote" safe for the public.
Yeah.
It's
and that's such
not
a shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even when you and I think radio stations truthfully have a lot to do with it, because even when you and I moved to Fargo, the rock station here in town would play more stuff that wasn't
it was
the
harder.
radio safe.
Yeah.
And they would still get pretty decent ratings out of it.
Sure.
Whereas now everything is, it's all these safe, even Slipknot's latest album had some relatively safe ones on there.
Yeah. And it's, what I mean by safe is that there's not a whole for rock and roll, not a whole lot of screaming involved. And, the technicality is dumbed down, and it's really sad because they're very talented people. But I think it kind of saturates, what we consider, it saturates their copious amount of talent that they have. And I can't really be blaming anybody. I can't even really blame the radio stations. I blame us.
Yeah,
because
you have to blame the listener.
Yeah, we're the ones that control what they play. So if we don't call in and demand more songs like 2 weeks for them, then it's just never going to happen. They're always going to play something that everybody can tap their foot to, and
which is a shame.
It really is. Do you want to go with one?
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to go with one that's probably going to, if there's any of like my parents' generation people that actually listen to this, they're going to disagree big time. But I got to say the Beatles.
Ooh, the Beatles.
The Beatles. Now, there is no arguing that the Beatles were good.
Right.
No arguing that.
Very good.
They're great. But the fact that they basically, came in and just went to town on all of rock music at that point, kills me, because they're more pop than anything else.
Well, wasn't that rock and roll back then though?
Somewhat.
I don't know. I wasn't alive then.
Yeah, me neither. They were really only together for and touring for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
It really
for as
wasn't
much
that long.
craze as they still have today.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is that I can't get behind the craze of the Beatles.
Yeah.
And if you listen to them, none of them were particularly good singers.
Not terrible.
Or instrumentalists for that matter.
It was just very catchy.
Yeah, it was very catchy. They were these clean-faced little British kids, and except for you, Ringo, you were an ugly man. But they were new. They were different. They started the British thing,
and that's probably the biggest factor is that they were different.
They were new. They were different. Yeah,
and one of the first boy bands.
Yeah, really, they were. And I feel like that's basically why I don't really like them, is because they were one of those different bands, but they were different in such a bad way.
Yeah, but I do give credit to them for inspiring.
Oh, yeah,
A lot of today's artists still quote the Beatles as their inspiration, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Not my cup of tea, though.
Yeah, and, I might be a little biased, or I might even just not have a good enough opinion of them because I haven't listened to, like, everything that they have.
Sure.
It's just that, what I have listened to, I don't like.
Yeah, and that's
so there's no point in listening to everything else.
that's probably the top comment you'll hear from people that talk to you about the Beatles. They'll be like, "Oh, well, you clearly haven't heard this."
Well, it's the same thing with all sorts of other bands,
yeah.
like Pink Floyd and Tool. It's like, well, you clearly haven't heard this.
You haven't heard my favorite that resonates to me personally.
That's just one of those music opinions in general, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, move on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Is that all you had to say?
That's all I had about the Beatles.
About the Beatles.
Yes.
All right. My number 2 is going to be a shocker to you, Kenny Chesney. We're getting into country.
Yeah, that is a shocker.
Yep. Because I did grow up with country in the 90s, so I have an expert opinion on the matter. Expert opinion. I read a Wikipedia article about country music, expert. And now I'm an expert.
Yeah.
So Kenny's career started around the mid 90s, mid into late, and from his very inception, he had safe country songs, for the audience's ear hole, and it granted him much success. But just because something is a hit doesn't mean it's always great. It's, in my opinion, this singer-songwriter has been singing impersonal, simple songs to common folk for years. It began, his career began with hits like Whatever It Takes or Fall in Love, When I Close My Eyes. And that fits the country bill, completely. They're about love and life from the perceived perspective of a country boy or a country person. And that's what 90s country was cool. Why it was cool is because it followed kind of this, verse, chorus, solo, chorus kind of breakdown that most rock and roll bands follow even today.
Yeah.
Of course, with a steel guitar and much twang in the voice.
Yep.
But, but lyrically, these songs are very, very simple. For instance, his title track off the 96 or 97 album titled Me and You is very slow and moving love song, but is featuring the most bland and simple lyrics of what is the equivalent of a 16-year-old's poetry journal that he keeps under his bed to write about that one girl in science class with the cute braids in her hair and won't notice you because you don't play football. Just me.
That's not.
Was that?
Yeah. That's not.
The song features lyrics like every quote unquote. These are the lyrics. Every day I live, try my best to give all I have to you. Thank the stars above that we share this love, me and you. I mean, fantastic stuff there.
Do you want to know how much I know Kenny Chesney?
What's that?
I thought that was the actual lyrics when you were saying your love
really?
story. Yeah. I know nothing.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the lyrics are about as impersonal as a handshake.
Yeah. And that's a shame.
Yeah.
Because even me not being much of a country person, I mean, my family is as far from country as you can get.
Sure.
My immediate family. I still know Garth Brooks.
Oh yeah.
Or, some of the other 90s ones. Mm-hmm. And they have great lyrics.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, really?
And, now that the lady and I are together, she listens to a lot of country.
Sure.
And some of the now mainstream ones are okay. Like Luke Bryan, we went to one of his concerts and I actually had fun at it.
Oh, I'm sure you had a blast.
It was a good time. And he has some pretty good songs. But a lot of them, it's all about drinking beer. And,
it's bro country.
Yeah, it's bro country.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about you talking about Kenny Chesney is that I'm pretty sure that it was recently that he came out and said that he doesn't like the direction that country music is going because everything is so bro-y. Did I say erection?
Maybe.
Or were you just thinking it? Anyway, he went out and said that he doesn't like the direction that country music is going because it's too broy. Yet
even he was probably the one who helped. He definitely
he was one of the originators of all this this stuff because he's been around since the mid 90s.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, looking through his lyrics, you find a lot of songs that play it safe. They're very vague and can appeal to a large audience. Larger audience, of course, means it's going to bring in a lot of sales, create a lot of buzz for you. And as long as your live show is full of energy, which Kenny Chesney's live show is, it's full of energy and with little errors, which is easy when your songs are simple. People will keep coming back time and time again, but this is not what an artist does. This is a business model.
Yep.
One that worked for a multitude of bands and has worked all too well for Kenny Chesney. I mean, if you think about his post-millennial hits, like No Shoes, No Shirt, No Problem, She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, When the Sun Goes Down, they're just an addition to his business model. They're fun. They're niched songs for a fun party theme. You can play on a beach when you're playing sand volleyball with your friends. They're just going to make you tap your toes.
I guarantee some of them play at our wedding dance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. And
get it out over there.
I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say.
These things happen.
But, and fast forward to his latest album hit, American Kids and Till It's Gone, clearly showcases just how well this formula has worked for him, with the added bonus of this bro country that he helped create. He now has the tools he needs to keep making hit after hit. And remember, when writing lyrics, for him, it's some vague idea about a feeling or mood, throwing a vague and very, very nondescript love interest, and for added effect, use the term baby or honey so it can be applied to both sexes. And, unisexually, I think. It's a word now.
It works now. Yeah.
You
heard it here first, everybody.
Never, ever put in any details, Mr. Chesney, and you'll be fine. And how is this a departure of what my opinion of good lyrics are? Well, I'm going to answer your question, viewers, listeners, that you were all screaming at the monitor. You may argue that lyrics are supposed to be taken personally, so that this style of writing that Mr. Chesney does is very good. And I don't agree. It's really successful, but it's not really good. Song lyrics are supposed to be the last bastion of exposing the world to the art form that is poetry. And as such, it should be written from with that frame of mind. Lyrics should mean something deeply to the author, but have such ambiguity and grace that the other readers feel deep personal connections as well. Poetry shouldn't forcefully implant an idea in your head, but rather drop a seed in which beautiful thoughts can grow. And I think that's where all lyrics should come from.
It's just, and I noticed that you said poetry in there. That's basically what lyrics are. It's poetry put to music, or that's what it should be.
Oh, yeah. Should always be.
Yeah. I mean, listen to a band like a Clutch.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about great lyrics. They might not always make sense
to you.
And that's exactly it.
Right.
Because they don't make sense to you, but that's fine to Clutch because
it made sense to them, or they were high, which is fine too.
Yeah.
But somewhere in those lyrics, you're going to pull out a piece that's like, yeah, I can resonate with that. This is
pretty cool. Or same thing with, like anything that Maynard James Keenan is in.
Sure.
His vocals are incredible.
Yeah.
And what makes it even better is the lyrics that he writes go so well with his vocals.
And that's what I was saying back to the personal thing, where Kenny Chesney is so impersonal, where you can have any other country artist come in, sing one of his songs, and it's going to sound the same.
Yeah.
Because it means nothing to him. It's just a way of making money, in my opinion. But with Maynard James Keenan, all of his songs that he has written, he feels so strongly about that really comes out in the vocals when he sings.
And I've seen a Tool cover band before. The music was great.
Sure.
But the person who was singing, I mean, you're not even close.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, it just doesn't have the same.
Yeah, you lose just by saying that you're a Tool cover band, in my opinion.
Definitely. It'd be like the difference between having Robert Frost read one of his poems to you or your teacher doing it. Your teacher might be a fine speaker, but it's not going to have that same human connection to it. So that's all I got to say about that.
All right, I'll go with the next one, and this is going to come as a surprise to nobody who listens or knows me, I should say. Metallica.
Ooh.
Ridiculously overplayed.
Yeah.
How dare I say Metallica? But it, in this town, actually basically in any town that I've ever lived in, which is all of three.
Three of the towns.
3 of the towns. any of the rock stations that you listen to are playing Metallica.
Mandatory.
Are playing. Well, they did. None of the other two did mandatory
Really?
Metallica.
Okay, when I was in Texas, down there in Benbrook, Fort Worth area, they did a mandatory Metallica.
Really?
And so when I moved up here, and I think in South Dakota they did it as well.
I'm
thought that was
pretty
just
sure they
something
did.
that rock stations did.
Which,
Like it had to be done in order to call yourself a rock station.
and that makes no sense to me because
No,
there
it
are
doesn't.
so many other bands out there that are so much better than Metallica. I'm sorry. But it's like every time you turn to a rock station in this town, especially, and there's 3 of them, the one does mandatory Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
I think at 2 different points of the day. They do one like right at midday and then one
sure.
later, which is annoying to me because when I get out to my car after work, the last thing I want to do is listen to
Master
Lars
of Puppets.
Ulrich
Yeah.
destroy everything that is drumming. Anyway,
Lars, I need a drum fill.
we'll get into that. Hold on.
Is it
Hold
a
that
snare
thought.
drum?
We'll get into that.
Holding.
But any of the 3 that I turn it to, it's like every once in a while, all 3 of them will be playing Metallica at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why? They have so many albums. I shouldn't say so many, but they have
really-
a lot of
They
albums.
do.
And every single one of those albums is like, it's like they went in 3 phases.
Mhm.
They went really thrashy.
Sure.
Then they got to the stuff that's actually listenable.
Yeah.
So like the Black Album. But all the stuff on that Black Album has been overplayed so much that even though I enjoy some of the songs like Sad But True, Enter Sandman, of course,
Yeah.
Wherever I May Roam, Unforgiven. I mean, those songs are great.
Sure.
But the fact that I've heard them so many times, it's like, well, this is a good time to see what's on the other stations.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, it's just one of those things because so they had the thrashy, they had the decent stuff, and now they have the terrible stuff.
Right.
And when you get to that point where you are just making albums to make money, this goes with Kenny Chesney,
Mm-hmm.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But the problem is that there's still the people out there
Still a
who are
job
like,
for 'em.
well, yeah, there's still the people out there who are like, oh, it's a new Metallica CD.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to have to get it just to see if it's any good.
Exactly.
Or I have to get it just because I'm a fan,
Yeah.
which I'm a fan of All That Remains, but I'm not buying their stuff anymore because it's
Right.
not good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a fan of their old stuff, but really not much anymore.
Yeah. Not too much. And it's such a shame that that's the natural progression of things is that
Yeah.
you start with a band that's really good, like Hoobastank.
Mm-hmm.
Their first album was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was
that was a great
it was
album.
very Incubus.
Kind of, yeah.
Ish.
Incubus-ish.
Yeah. And
Sure.
I think I heard a factoid when I was younger that they actually toured with Incubus before that album, so that explains the sound.
It does.
But anyway,
that's-
and now they're to the point where again it's safe mainstream songs.
And you know what? That's another band right there. Incubus.
Oh,
I mean, their old stuff is great.
It's fantastic.
It was so different.
Yep.
You know, for the time. But now it's like they come out with a new CD or a new single even, and you're like, why?
yeah,
Yeah, why did you do this?
It's-
Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't want to
keep
get too
going.
off topic. Another reason I don't like Metallica is Lars Ulrich. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm a drummer. I don't claim to be the best drummer on earth or anything like that. It's just that
oh, he claims it.
he does.
I was talking about you.
Oh no, Lars. It's like you're in a band that has incredible guitar players.
Yeah,
Incredible
Sultan of Shred.
guitar. Yeah, I mean, Kirk Hammett is incredible.
yeah, he's really good.
And then you dumb it down with the
Lars.
same beat that gets played in every
Yeah.
song.
And his drum fills are snare
Yeah,
drums.
snare drum, or he just goes, you know, from snare to all the way down as toms, like
Or,
in a,
yeah.
you know, some sort of pattern. It's like, you know, that really wasn't much.
Or the very classic
Yeah.
and then into it.
And I
It's-
just can't do it. It's like all the other instrumentalists are great, but he plays the same thing over and over again. And that same thing that he plays, basically any beginning rock drummer can play.
Yeah.
The only real difference is back when they were really thrashy, he was pretty quick.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. He has some qualities that are decent.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he can play relatively fast. But it's like anything new, any beginning rock drummer could play it.
Sure.
Because it's the same stuff.
Yeah, and I think the problem with that for me is that you always want to see your favorite musicians improve.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see him stay at the same level as he has done.
And I mean, so even Neil Peart, so he's the drummer for Rush. I've heard it.
I don't think
I've
you
heard
had
it
to
Peart
explain
or
that.
Peart, whatever, doesn't matter. They're Canadian, so
The Professor.
The Professor, exactly. He's what, in his 60s?
Mhm.
Probably getting closer to 70. I'm not entirely sure, but I know he's probably at least in his 60s. And he still improves.
Yeah, every day.
It's insane to me. And that's what you want your musicians to be.
Yeah, because they're passionate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Lars is there just to be there, it seems.
Yeah. Or Danny Carey.
Or to be mad at Napster.
Yeah. Or to be mad
Is that topical for you?
Yeah. Or to be mad at the rest of the people in the band.
Yeah.
We should probably put a link to that video.
Oh,
where he's
yeah.
just like 2 centimeters away from James Hetfield's face, just screaming at him.
And I believe Hetfield's quite a bit larger than he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And he's kind of scary. Just look at the guy.
Yeah.
But it's like Danny Carey.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to his drums from the first Tool album to the newest Tool album.
Yeah.
And you will be blown away
Yeah, he's...
by how much it's gotten better.
Yeah.
And it's because he's the type of guy who probably plays 3-4 hours a day.
Practices.
Strives
yeah.
and strives and strives.
And
to
you
be
were
better.
telling me his warm-ups that drummers usually reserve for their hand warm-ups. He does them
with his feet.
With his feet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an innovative way to get better.
Dude's incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
I love you.
My last thing about Metallica is I'm pretty sure that they think that people still care.
Oh, and some do.
And some do,
And
yes.
you know, I would still see a Metallica concert.
I would
just because
too.
I heard they put on a hell of a
there'd
show.
be a lot of fire. It would be loud, but
I would see a lot of other people's concerts
that's
too.
true. Like
except
I
for
went to
Saliva.
I went to a Motley Crue concert not too long ago, and I was actually pretty sad that I went to a Motley Crue concert.
Did you know that that's not the end of their tour? They're having another farewell tour.
Well, it's kind of 2 parts.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just so huge that it has to be in 2 parts.
Sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they came back for more farewell
I think
tours.
no, they can't.
Really?
Motley Crue actually signed something with a lawyer saying that there is no more Motley Crue after this.
Oh, okay.
Nobody gets the name. Nothing. There is no more Motley Crue.
Sure.
They probably still get the rights to play this. So like if Nikki Sixx wants to play a song in 6 a.m. or whatever, that's Motley Crue's, I'm sure they can do that. There's probably something in that clause, but yeah, that's the thing about this farewell tour with Motley Crue is that there is no more Motley Crue after this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
And anyway, I wish that I wouldn't have seen Motley Crue because it ruined Motley Crue for me.
Oh, really?
So the singer is so bad. He actually had to have monitors at the front of his stage with his lyrics on them.
Really?
Because he doesn't remember his own lyrics.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yep.
You would think you were singing a song for so long.
Yep. And that's one of those things that it's like, they think that people still care about this stuff. Which, there's a lot of people in our boat that would probably still go see these bands.
Sure.
But the other stuff that they've done, like I read a report about Metallica that says they've actually lost more money in the past 5 years than they made.
Really?
Which is insane to me.
That is.
Because it's Metallica.
Yeah.
But, if you think about it, they came out with a book that nobody read. They came out with a movie that nobody saw.
Right.
That's a lot of money to be sticking into something.
Yeah.
When you should kind of realize that you were on the tail end of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Just start playing the casino tour.
Yeah.
That's how these things go.
Yeah. Just keep playing the venues until they start to not fill up the seats. Go to smaller venues and
that's exactly it.
Every flame has to go out at some point.
And I'm done. We're going
done. Finished.
Yeah,
Finished.
That's all for this episode of North by Nowhere. We hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for taking the time to listen. We have a multitude of ways that we can be heard, starting with Spreaker. Use the iOS and Android apps to take us on the go. We're also on iTunes, and if that's how you listen, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Our dream is to be featured in the new and noteworthy section in the iTunes store. Lastly, you can find the podcast on YouTube, along with the Nowhere Gaming videos with Wise Ky. Be sure to subscribe there and share those videos as well. One last bit of shameless self-promotion from us. We are now on Twitter at twitter.com/northbynowhere, which is just going to be me and Wise Ky putting a bunch of dumb stuff on Twitter because that's what Twitter is. And we're also on Facebook at facebook.com/northbynowhere. where you can comment on anything about the show, or you can give us any type of topic that you'd like us to discuss.